Hello, I just got my grades in from school. Let me read them out. A, B, Z, G, C, T, U, F, F, F. Oh. This perfectly describes Sonic. If you're a fan of Sonic, or, actually, even if you're not a fan of Sonic, you probably know that Sonic's possibly one of the most inconsistent franchises ever. You had the 2D Genesis games, then you had the 3D adventure games with more of a story focus adding on to the story of the Genesis games. Alright, that's pretty standard for any gaming franchise. Then you had Sonic Heroes, which throw out all of the adventure physics in exchange for worse physics and a team system. I mean, okay, adding a new gimmick for a new game is fair, you need to keep things fresh somehow. Weird that they throw out all of the old physics, though. Sonic 06 comes along and wrecks the physics, partially wrecks the lore, and kills your grandma. Okay, well, it's still trying to be an adventure-esque game. Sonic Unleashed comes out and adds a slow fighting style and replaces the adventure style with the boost style. Sonic Colors is 2D block platforming with the boost. Oh, also, the story doesn't care about the world building or characters anymore. Sonic Generations is good. Sonic Lost World tries to be Mario. Sonic Boom tries to be a generic slow exploration game. I haven't really played it, I don't know. Sonic Forces is boost to win because Sega was too scared to go with the Lost World style any further. Sonic Frontiers is 4 open worlds with a story that goes back to the pre-Colors game story, except maybe it takes it a step too far trying to make everything sad. Look, I'm not trying to knock on any of these games, even the inconsistent ones, since it is fun to see the different styles and these games can all still be fun, but with all the inconsistencies comes inconsistencies in quality. And that's barely even mentioning all the games I could have mentioned but didn't. I could have mentioned Sonic Billiards for the Nokia phone and its impact on the lore. Oh, wait, what? So now, according to popular opinion within the fandom, because if I use IGN in this video I'll probably be killed, about 6 of the games I mentioned are considered good, 3 of the games are considered mixed, and 5 of the games are considered bad. And again, that's just the games I mentioned. So the big question really is Sonic consistent again, or at least consistently good again? I feel like most people are definitely thinking that Sonic is consistently good again, but just try to remember what happened last time we all said that. We ended up getting hit with Sonic Lost World and Sonic Boom. I guess I should start with the beginning of this new era of Sonic, for lack of a better term, and talk about movie 1 from 2020. It was good, it was alright. It's another family road trip movie, but this time with the character who can literally run fast enough to run over water, so like, why even? Wait, no, don't kill me, I'm kidding, I know they explain this in the movie. Like, it is good, it's an enjoyable watch, I just don't think it's amazing. It's a good 7 out of 10, a true sign for what's to come. A rushed remaster of a game that was already starting to lose its good name in the Sonic fandom, so they could bring in new movie fans. If you need an idea as to the quality of this remaster, the remaster could give people seizures and these lights don't actually emit light. And actually a really good movie if you're not a film critic. No shade to film critics, by the way, y'all give them way too much hate. Anyways, most of the fandom really liked this movie, it seems. It has more of a Sonic-like story with accurate but still fresh and new portrayals of these characters. The most okayish remaster ever. This game is where things start to turn around. Most of the games in this era of Sonic had kinda sucked, but that's just because they're remasters. Which is still really no excuse, but still, this is our first original game for the 2020s. Unless you want to count the McDonald's Sonic Movie 2 promo game, but I have an entire video on Sonic Frontiers which you should absolutely not watch, just listen to my voice from it. It sounds like I pitched it down. Actually, don't listen to my voice for a minute. I'll have to go and find the clip to play in this video. But anyways, to sum up my and many others' thoughts on the game, it's a fresh new take on Sonic gameplay with a good story, great characterization, amazing boss fights, and lots of jank and bugs. Yeah, the game is held back a lot by its jankiness and bugs, preventing it from being as good as it could have been for many. It doesn't ruin my experience too much, but I do understand if it does for some. This is one of the highest rated Sonic games ever on Metacritic. No, really, this visual novel Sonic game has that high of a score among Sonic games. It's not the best visual novel ever, I'm sure, but this is a great time with almost perfect characterization, and a fun little minigame thrown in too. Great music, totally not the music I use in my videos, and a fun slice-of-life Sonic story that involves Eggman right at the end. I would honestly love to see more Sonic visual novels in the future, as insane as that sounds. Very buggy and way too much of a difficulty spike in Frontiers for most players. I found it to be a very fun time, but I understand the frustrations, and this update is still very jank. To most of the fandom, it's the most 7 out of 10 2D Sonic game ever, but still quite fun and enjoyable, with not too much of note outside of Fang the Sniper being back and the new character Trip. I think it's a bit better than that, but I also haven't exactly, gotten around to playing Trip's story and finishing the game. From what I've seen and heard from people who can actually play the game, This game has good platforming and controls, but is held back by the fact that it has to be a mobile game-esque in some way, so there's a lot of repeated content on 100% playthroughs, and it's never really the most in-depth thing. The story is also the most, well that happened, thing ever, with the very low-budget slideshow cutscenes that tell a story that doesn't really feel all that impactful past the first cutscene. Nothing here is really all that significant. Oh, also this game has gotten a really bad name within the Sonic fandom because people actually like being able to play new games. So let's see how consistent all of these are to each other. I won't count remasters since those are just older games, but let's start with the movies since there's only 2 of those. They're both consistent to each other, which is kind of just to be said for the beginning of any franchise, I guess, but still. The only inconsistent part is how good the second movie is in comparison to the first movie, which isn't even a bad thing, that's just a thing that sequels do. All the world building is consistent, the characters are consistent, the tone is consistent, you get it. Now the games are a bit tricky to determine, since we are at the beginning of a new era of Sonic. Frontiers is an open world game, Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog is a visual novel, Frontiers is an update to Sonic Frontiers that's just as jank as the original, I guess that's consistent. Sonic Superstars is a traditional 2D Sonic game, and Sonic Dream Team is Sonic Adventure but with a boost now. Now, I know you all have already left your comments about how stupid of an argument that was despite not having even finished the video yet, but I do agree if I use that as proof that Sonic is still just as inconsistent as he was 10 years ago or so, that'd be pretty big dumb of me, haha, XD. All of these games listed here are made by different teams at Sega, and are made to offer unique gameplay from the other games. There's a reason why no one will say Mario's inconsistent because of Mario Kart releasing right after Mario Odyssey or something. So since this is still the start of a new era for Sonic, I think it'd be a bit unfair to judge the consistency of gameplay styles or anything. So instead, I'm gonna start looking at the quality of these games and movies. Not from a Sonic fan's viewpoint though, no, I just gave you that. No, I'm gonna have to tell you what non-Sonic fans think of this stuff. Dun dun dun. I'm gonna be using Metacritic for all of this, seeing as it brings together a bunch of scores by the way. Just thought I should get that out of the way now so I don't have to keep on saying according to Metacritic. The general consensus among critics, which again, critics aren't that bad, you all need to chill, their whole job is to be critical of something, is that movie 1 is fine. It has fun moments, but a lot of the movie feels very generic, with the only big highlight being Jim Carrey Eggman, which fair enough honestly. Also, again, if you're going to complain at me for using critic reviews for this, keep in mind that near all the user scores for any of the Sonic stuff is either 10s or 0s. So this is the only way I can get a somewhat unbiased opinion on Sonic media. Give me a break. Okay, this game's scores are an anomaly. How did this score around 7 out of 10 from most reviewers? The critics? How in the world were Sonic fans more critical than the critic reviewers of a game for once? What? You know, maybe I should look at the user scores just for this one game. Okay, what's this one? I love this game. I love the fact the funny glitch gave me a scissor. Also, Sonic is so goddamn... You know, I think I'm going to stick to critic reviews actually. Okay, so Sonic Colors Ultimate is praised for basically what the original game was praised for in 2010, except for how it is so much more improved because of the visual enhancements, the customization, quality of life features. All of this combines to make the best version of this game from 2 years ago. Are these people real? How did this one think Colors was from 2 years ago? Did you people even look at either of these releases? Okay. Be nice to the reviewers, be nice to reviewers. The point is that Sonic Colors Ultimate was well received, with around 7 out of 10s from reviewers who are usually not Sonic fans. Sonic Origins is generally considered a good collection of good games with okay extras and not enough options at worst. A bit more favorable than the fandom's opinion on it, but these reviews definitely make sense, especially for people who probably haven't dedicated 2 whole years of their lives to playing Sonic 3. Sonic Frontiers is never really praised for doing anything amazingly, outside of occasionally the Titan battles, but even then it's kinda shaky. Frontiers is usually still considered pretty good, however, for bringing the series into a new direction, and implementing different aspects of the series pretty well into this new direction. Although, as I'm sure you can guess, these reviews usually mention the game being brung down by technical issues like popping and such, making the game feel like an early build and very jank. Huh, I guess both Sonic fans and reviewers agree on that last part. Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog is really well received actually. With praise for its great storytelling, characterization, art, yeah, I said this all already just a minute ago. The reviewers' opinions here don't differ much from mine. The game does an amazing job at being what it's trying to be. The lowest scores on Metacritic are only 60s, which is kinda crazy for the absolute lowest scores to be for a Sonic game. Good Genesis-like 2D Sonic game with some jank, that's what the reviews say. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know how much more of coming through critic reviews I can do. It's too many 7 out of 10s. The critics bring up the game being good for being a 3D platformer with good controls and level design, and it's what the fans saw also. Nothing negative got brung up much aside from the story, but nothing great got brung up either. That was tiring. This was supposed to be a short and easy video to make. I think we get the point now though, right? I get it's a meme now, but genuinely these are all just 7 out of 10s to non-Sonic fans, with the exception of Mirror of Sonic the Hedgehog being 8 out of 10 and Sonic Movie 2 being 5 out of 10. Like, okay, obviously I don't want to say critic opinions are more valuable than non-critics' opinions because that's not true, but usually these reviews tend to be slightly more unbiased than user reviews, which are usually from Sonic fans or Sonic haters. However, even if these are critic reviews, why can't Sonic aim to have an 8 to 10 out of 10 rated game? Why can't Sonic have an amazing experience for both fans and newcomers, and also critics? It's very common for other AAA games like Mario or Zelda to have in-depth yet fun to master mechanics with scores that reach 9 out of 10 or even 10 out of 10. This even more so applies to indie games. I get this starts to get into a wider issue with AAA games as a whole, but Sonic, one of the biggest names in gaming, is doing worse than indie games. That's not even critic opinion either, I agree with that sentiment too. I love Sonic Frontiers, don't get me wrong, it's one of my favorite Sonic games ever, but I can think of many more recent-ish games made by just indie devs I just think are higher quality and better made overall. You know, I once made a joke about Sonic being AA rather than AAA, and the person I was talking to said that's why Sonic's so great. I do disagree with the idea that that's why Sonic's great, at least for a lot of current Sonic games, but it did get me thinking. How good do you think Sonic could be if Sonic Team just embraced how they're now AA? I mean, if indie games can reach such heights as described earlier, I don't see why a AA gaming franchise couldn't. They just would need to adjust their scope, maybe focus less on graphics or something, I don't know. Maybe they would be forced to actually stylize a game for one. Of course, the idea of treating Sonic games like indie games could change soon, and not work for the next Sonic game, seeing as Sonic Team is supposedly getting more team members and more money for the next game after Frontiers' success. So no one can really know for sure right now what would be the best way to handle the next mainline Sonic game. All I know is that I personally wouldn't mind an indie game-esque Sonic game. Anyways, the point is, yeah, Sonic is consistently good again, right now anyways, but never really any better than good. The 7 out of 10s are consistent, but it's rarely any higher than that. And hopefully Sonic can aim to be an 8 or 9 out of 10 gaming franchise in the future. Who knows, maybe to achieve that all they need to do is make more visual novels. Being honest, I wouldn't really mind that. Anyways, jokes aside, I don't have anything else to say. I feel like something is supposed to happen right now to make the ending of the video more interesting. Oh yeah! I have hit 1K subscribers on this funny Hedgehog Blue channel, and I am deciding to do the generic YouTuber Q&A because I couldn't think of anything original. So, if you want to ask me a question, don't put a comment in this video. Put it in the community post I have in my community. Put it in the community post I put on my community tab. Or you could just use the link in the description. If you're lazy, that is.